President Biden making his first trip there since taking office. As part of the visit, he made an unscheduled stop to the border wall separating the U.S. and Mexico, where he met with Border Patrol officers. Here's ABC's Maria Villarreal from El Paso.
Tonight, moments after touching down, President Joe Biden facing one of his biggest critics.
The president who caused the chaos at the border needed to be here. It just so happens he's 2 years and about $20 billion too late.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott handing the president a letter outlining his plan to fix growing issues along the border.
I urge him in the letter to see the real chaos.
But they need a lot of resources, and we're going to get them for them.
Biden's first trip to the border comes on the heels of another surge of migrants in El Paso. Just last month, an average of 2,500 apprehensions a day. The administration's recent surge of money and manpower to the border helping reduce that number to about 700 a day. The president and top DHS officials touring a migrant facility while talking with field agents and meeting with local leaders. DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas blaming Congress for the broken immigration system on this week.
We want individuals who qualify for relief under our laws to come to the United States in a safe and orderly way. And that is why we are building lawful pathways.
The administration's new immigration policies include sending 30,000 migrants back to Mexico every month. But at the same time, an extended parole program allows 30,000 migrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela the chance to request asylum if they meet strict requirements like having a sponsor in the U.S. and passing background checks.
Dozens of migrants slept on the streets of El Paso near this church in the downtown area. Many of them haven't been processed by Border Patrol, and they are from countries like Venezuela. They know that with the new laws in place, they may be immediately deported back to Mexico.
Ya que en México es muy peligroso estar.
Andres left poverty and corruption in Venezuela. Aware of the new restrictions keeping him from requesting asylum, he decided to cross into the U.S. anyway, out of fear he'd be robbed or kidnapped.
Pero también tenemos la fe de que nos van a ayudar.
So he says right now that he is very fearful that they will be deported, but also he has faith that they are going to help him here in the United States.
So many share that faith. Maria Villarreal joins us now from El Paso. Maria, the president heads to Mexico next?
That's right. He has 2 days of meetings with the president of Mexico and also the prime minister of Canada. No doubt scenes like what you are seeing right behind me, Lindsay, a church turned into a migrant refuge. That is going to be a huge point of discussion.
Chaos in Brazil as thousands storm the country's capital protesting October's election results. Supporters of far-right former President Jair Bolsonaro unwilling to accept his defeat to Luis Inácio Lula da Silva, otherwise known as Lula, seen here tonight in an emergency address, promising harsh consequences as Bolsonaro's election deniers smashed windows, wreaking havoc inside and out of the country's Congress, Supreme Court, and presidential palace. U.S. Secretary Blinken tweeting in part, quote, "Using violence to attack democratic institutions is always unacceptable." It's a scene all too familiar 2 years after the January 6th attack. Only this time, Brazilian lawmakers largely weren't inside, and Brazil's new government is already in power, with Lula's inauguration just 1 week ago. But fears of an insurrection never fully quelled. In the days that followed Lula's win, Bolsonaro protesters blocked major roads. They set vehicles on fire, while Bolsonaro toed the line, never formally conceding to Lula.
Was the writing on the wall that this was coming?
I would say these events were tragic but unsurprising, unfortunately. And there's been a consistent climate of denial among the supporters of the defeated presidents.
Bringing calm to a country at a political boiling point will be Lula's first major test of his new presidency. Marissa Parra, NBC News.
Emotional scenes in Buffalo and across the country. Bill safety Damarhamlin live tweeting from his hospital bed, cheering on his teammates in their first game back since his collapse on the field. The Bills honoring some of the first responders credited with saving Hamlin's life. ABC's Trevor Ault is in Buffalo.
Let's go get one done. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Where?
Tonight, the Buffalo Bills' emotional return to the field in their first game since Damarhamlin's near-fatal cardiac arrest.
Just wanted to come out and play free, play loose, play for him.
In the stands, a sea of his number 3. Coaches and players holding back tears, a pregame tribute thanking the medical team who saved Hamlin's life, and then on the opening kickoff, an unbelievable touchdown.
Down the sideline he goes. This is storybook. An opening kickoff return for Damarhamlin, and this place is absolutely going wild.
You can't draw that one up, write that one up any better. And I was just told it's been 3 years and 3 months. Since the last kickoff return, so it's pretty cool.
Hamlin live tweeting the game from his hospital bed, making that signature heart with his hands, and after another Bills touchdown, so did tight end Dawson Knox. Saying, "I love you, Damar." Hamlin tweeting, "I love you too." The Bills defeating the Patriots to cap off a roller coaster week of emotions as Hamlin continues to make a remarkable recovery, now breathing on his own and talking, even FaceTiming into a team meeting.
You couldn't ask for better. The guy's awake, he's talking, he's been with his team, so that's a good day.
Today, players around the league donning shirts saying love for Damar. Teams marking the 3 at their 30-yard lines. And in Buffalo...
Was this one for Damar?
It was absolutely for Damar.
Of course.
This guy right here.
Number 3. And Hamlin is still in the ICU in Cincinnati. He says he has a long road to recover, but he believes he'll come out of this struggle even stronger than before. Lindsay?
Such powerful images there tonight. Trevor, thank you. Breaking situation in Brazil. Thousands of supporters of ousted former President Bolsonaro storming the presidential and congressional buildings, demanding he be restored to power. The scenes reminiscent of January 6th here in the U.S. Many of the protesters there wearing the national colors of yellow, green, and blue. Riot police confronting demonstrators outside, firing tear gas. Officials say extra police have been mobilized to try to bring order. Some protesters ransacking offices, others appearing to steal equipment and calling for the military to intervene and overturn the election Bolsonaro lost. The former president, who has been called Latin America's Trump, is believed to be in Miami, skipping the inauguration of his leftist rival Lula da Silva, who defeated him in October's election. Late today, da Silva blamed Bolsonaro for the unrest. President Biden is now weighing in. ABC's Matt Rivers leads us off.
Tonight, democracy under attack in Brazil. Thousands of protesters violently storming the country's presidential offices and Congress in the capital of Brasilia, in an attack eerily reminiscent of what the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol looked like just 2 years ago. The protesters, all supporters of former President Jair Bolsonaro, who was defeated in October presidential elections by current President Lula da Silva, inaugurated just 1 week ago. The violent rioters battling with police, firing tear gas in the air as they vandalized government offices, all claiming Bolsonaro didn't really lose the election. Fortunately, the government was not in session. Bolsonaro himself spent years sowing doubt about Brazil's election systems, even saying the recent results where he lost couldn't be trusted. Brazil's courts and independent experts say that's not true, and that was apparent when we traveled to Brazil to cover the race in October.
In a deeply divided election, Lula's supporters here say they're not just voting for his policies, but for the future of Brazilian democracy.
Bolsonaro's false claims of fraud, the driving force behind today's violence. Protesters demanding da Silva leave office, calling him an illegitimate president as they entered government offices for what some called an occupation.
President da Silva saying tonight that he will immediately return to the Capitol and blaming Bolsonaro for inciting the violent attack with his claims of election fraud.
It all looks and sounds remarkably similar to the events of January 6, 2021. Former President Trump is one of Jair Bolsonaro's self-proclaimed political idols. Bolsonaro joined Trump in denying the U.S. election results and seems to have followed Trump's political playbook to a T. And just like Trump's election lies contributed to the deadly attack on the U.S. Capitol, we're seeing violence play out again, this time in the world's 4th largest democracy.
We know those images all too well. Matt joins us now live. Matt, we know President Biden just commented on today's violence in Brazil. What is he saying about all this?
Yeah, Lindsay, President Biden condemning the violence, calling the assault, quote, outrageous. Meanwhile, the American embassy in Brasilia urging Americans to stay away from the area at this time. Jair Bolsonaro himself yet to comment on the attack.
Well, let me ask you this, because right now we're showing some live pictures of what's taking place in Brazil right now. As you know, and we've been reporting all afternoon here on CNN, pro-Bolsonaro supporters of the former President Jair Bolsonaro have stormed into various government buildings in that country's capital. It looks like a replay of January 6th, this time in Brazil. As you know, Congressman, you just have to look at the scenes on our screens right now, and we've been playing some of these screens earlier, or some of these images earlier today. One of these pro-Bolsonaro supporters was sitting at a desk inside the Capitol in Brasilia, in Brazil, and it looked like a scene right out of January 6th. What are your thoughts as this is taking place today?
Well, Bolsonaro was an authoritarian leader, and I stand with the democratically elected leadership in Brazil. And he basically used the Trump playbook to inspire domestic terrorists to try to take over the government. And you're right, it looks a lot like January 6th in the United States. And right now, Bolsonaro is in Florida, and he's actually very close to Donald Trump. He should be extradited to Brazil. In fact, it was reported that he was under investigation for corruption and fled Brazil to the United States. He's a dangerous man. They should send him back to his home country, Brazil.
And so if I'm gathering what you're saying, Congressman, are you calling on the Biden administration or authorities in Florida to return Bolsonaro, put him on a plane and send him to Brazil as soon as possible?
Yes, absolutely. Bolsonaro should not be in Florida. The United States should not be a refuge for this authoritarian who has inspired domestic terrorism in Brazil. He should be sent back to Brazil.